Have you read all those headlines on the media? Is the housing market cooling off? What is 2022 home price going to look like? In this video, I'm going to show you all the data, the expert quotes, and the forecast. Coming up. Hey, this is Regina Chen. I'm the local real estate agent right here in Irvine, California. In this video, I'm going to share with you the latest information in residential real estate, not only on a national level, but also specifically in the city of Irvine, California. We will start off looking at top 4 metrics so you can get an idea of what's really going on. We're taking all the stats, expert quotes to give you a specific idea of what's going on instead of just looking at all the headline on the media, because a lot of time they are more like they try to stir up some emotion, create fear. We're going to go deeper to show you what is really look like. And also, we also going to share with you what expert their projection in terms of home price in 2022. In the end, we're going to explain what does that mean to buyer and seller. Let's jump right in. Okay, as mentioned, we're going to look at 4 metrics to help us better understand the market. The first one I want to share is called showing time stats. Showing time is an app built inside MLS. So for when the buyer's agent are trying to schedule a tour for the buyers, they can choose to use the showing time to make that appointment. So it's considered a leading indicator to show us in terms of the real estate activity level. So in this chart, we're seeing that this is a monthly bar chart starting from January 2020 all the way through September this year. If you recall that when we first had the onset of pandemic or we started to experience lockdown, that's where the 2 red bar is at. It's March and April last year. Historically, it's supposed to be the spring season is the peak season for real estate market, but because pandemic, everything come to a sudden halt, and it's slowly pick up starting in March. Then we see the bar kind of move around like 200, a little dip here, and pick back up early this year, starting January through March. In the March, that's the highest point in terms of the showing time traffic. And ever since kind of normalized, cooling down a little bit, and we're back at 176 in September. So by looking from this chart, it's totally understandable why people feel like even for agent, after we have a extremely abnormal high in the early, the springtime, beginning of this first quarter, and we're coming down. So it definitely feels that it is cooler, definitely, compared to early this year. And the second slide I want to show you, it is the showing time index. But now we're looking at the annual level on the year-to-year basis. So in 2022, we ended at September, it's 176. Like we talk about, 2020 is an extreme abnormal year because of pandemic. All the spring, summer traffic or sales kind of got pushed back, shift toward 1 quarter backward. So when we compare to 2020, definitely 2021 feels is cooling down in terms of the buyer showing traffic. But since 2020 is a pandemic year, totally an outlier. If we look at the pre-pandemic level, from 2017 through 2019, the orange bar averaged the index of around like 110. And compared to that, September, we're at 176. Still a very outstanding phenomenon year. Like in this chart, we're talking about the buyer traffic. I just want to put things into context that when you say it's cooler, it's slowing down, it's all relative. Depends on the context, what you're comparing to. If we're comparing to the 2020 and the earlier 2021, definitely the buyer's traffic in this year is kind of getting. Another reason is that historically, even across the country, when we get to the 4th quarter, things tend to the activity, real estate activity historically will be 18% slower compared to rest of year. I just want to put it out there so we have, again, context when we're talking about it's getting slower. It is getting slower if we're comparing during the pandemic situation. But if you look at pre-pandemic, like here, all the orange bar, this year so far is still very hot, a very strong number in terms of buyer traffic. And here is the industry expert quote I want to share with you is from Bill McBride. He is with Calculated Risk. He's saying that sales non-seasonally adjusted in September. Here, the number here, we're talking about the unit of homes sold. So the units sold in September this year, it is 2.7% lower compared to last September. But like I mentioned, that if we remove this 2020, a extremely high because the caused by the pandemic, it's not a normal year. We compare to the pre-pandemic years. Our September this year is the strongest since 2005. So this year so far, we're seeing that the market is still very active, very hot compared to pre-pandemic year. And the second metric I want to share with, I want to talk about mortgage. If you can see here on the CNBC mortgage, on the CNBC, it says mortgage origination will drop 33% in 2022 as interest rates rise, according to the industry forecast. Let's break it down. I know when people hear about that mortgage origination, the mortgage application is going to drop 30%. That's huge. But let's break it down. When it comes to mortgage, there are two different kinds of mortgage. Here, if we can look at the bullet points. If we further drill down, again, just want to remind you, maybe you notice yourself too, on all the media, most titles always try to stir up fear or all those negative emotion. Instead of just take the headline the way it is, it's always a good idea. Get into content, read through the article, because a lot of detail is buried in the article, in the article, yes, instead of the headline. Because a lot of time the headline is like a clickbait. They're trying to draw more click-through rate, more traffic. Okay, so back to mortgage. So CNBC talking about the industry forecast saying that mortgage origination is going to drop 1/3 in 2022. That's a very scary headline. But let's get into the detail. What make up to the 32? So when it comes to mortgage, there are two different kinds of mortgage. Let's look at the first bullet point. The refi origination will drop 62% in 2022. Which is understandable. Later on, we're going to share with you what is the mortgage rate projection. It's projected to rise. We're going to get into that detail. So when the mortgage rate is rising, it makes sense. It doesn't matter if people already have a good or close enough mortgage rate. There's no point for them to do refi. In terms of refi or origination, next year it's going to drop significantly. As we project the mortgage rate going to continue to rise, to inch up. The second point, that's the key. Mortgage origination for the purpose of buying a home are forecast to rise 9% next year. So in terms of home purchase, what the mortgage industry is seeing in terms of application, what's in the pipeline, they're still seeing that market still continue to go up. There's still more buyer looking to buy. So the home purchase mortgage origination is expected to rise to 9% next year. Okay, so the third metric, the third number I want to share with you is the mortgage rate. So previously we're talking about mortgage origination, how many people are applying, trying to get a mortgage. Now the mortgage rate, we're talking about how much those mortgage loan will be at. Let's look at the chart. So the blue part is the history in the back, already happened, and the red part is the projection. The first data points start from January 2018. So you can see back then the highest point, we're looking at 4.5, and highest one is almost at 5%. And ever since start to going down. And here is this year where we at. That's where when you hear everybody's talking about it is a good time to buy home, to take advantage of the historical low mortgage rate. That's where we were before. Now, going forward, the Freddie Mac 30 years fixed rate, what is it going to look like? From now, it's going to turn to a different direction, start to inch up. So the first red bar here is this year's Q4, 3.2%. And the next year Q1 expect to be around 3.4 and 3.5 in Q2, 3.6 in Q3, the third quarter next year. And here is another industry expert quote. Doug Duncan, he is the Senior VP and Chief Economist at Fannie Mae. He said, right now, we forecast mortgage rate to average around 3.3% in 2020, which though slightly higher than 2020 and 2021, but by historical standards, remain extremely low. And it's supportive of mortgage demand and affordability. I just want to swim back to the chart to show you, just to remind you. So that's what Doug is talking about. Historically, we're up in the high four. And next year, yes, it's probably going to edge throughout the year 2022. It'll be probably average around 3.3. Number 4, another very important question people have been asking is, what does the home price going to look like? Is it still going to appreciate, rise, continue to increase, or is it going to crash? So here are 6 reputable industry experts. Here is their forecast. So we have Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, MBA, HPES, Damon, and National Association of Realtors. Obviously, there's a spectrum of it, but we look at the average. The 2022 average home price forecast will be around 5.1%. So none of these top organizations project any decrease, any drop at all. The 2022, what's been consistent, people agree, is that, the expert opinion, they all agree that home price is going to continue to appreciate, continue to grow, and the average is at around 5%. And in terms of the home volume sold, how many units of home will be sold in 2022? Also, it's expected to be performed pretty well again in 2022. On the left-hand side, that's the 2021, this year. We still have 2 months to complete this year. We're taking more than one organization's forecast. So 6.7, so it's hovering about 6.8 million homes will be sold in this year. And just to put things in context perspective, 2020, there are totally 6.5 million sold. And this year's project to be around 6.8. And for next year, 2022, looks like it could be somewhere around 6.9 or 7 million homes to be sold in 2022. Then again, not only the home price will be increased, and the total units sold is projected to continue to grow still next year. Okay, now we talk about all the stats on the national level across the country. Let's take a look at specifically locally in Irvine, California. So here is the report for October. I know it looks like a lot of numbers here. Let me quickly help you understand the column or the layout of it. So on the left-hand side is specifically just for the month of October. On the right-hand side, we're looking at year-to-date, meaning that's for the January through October, the 10 months this year so far. And also we're looking at by 2 different brackets. One is attached, that's the condo and townhome. And we'll look at the detached home, single family home separately. For the purpose of video, I think it's more telling we focus on the year-to-date numbers. Okay, so let's look at the year-to-date for the 10 month for attached home. The new listing number actually is dropped by 3.7%. That's another reason people may feel like, okay, there weren't as many homes on the market for Aspire to look at or to shop for. That's another reason why people feel that way. And the pending sales increased by 27% compared to same period last year. Total closed sales grew by 40%. Another important stats to follow is days on market, just to get you a feel of how fast homes are selling, are moving. So for attached home, it's only 21 days. That's a significant drop compared to last year by 46%. That's because we're kind of losing 2 months last year, 2020, during the lockdown. March and April, everything come to a very low level. And in terms of price point, the average sales price, $800,000. That's a 14% increase compared to last year. So if you're a Irvine condo buyer, just to give you an idea, roughly, if you're looking to buy, the average number is around $800,000. If we look at single family home, the detached home, new listing is increased by almost 3%, and pending sales grew by 33%. Closed sales is almost double, 49%. And the days on market is still very short as well. It's less than a month, only 25 days. We look at the average sales number, that's here, 1.64 million. That's increased by 22%. So based on my observation and my experience with working with my client, I definitely noticed during pandemic time, more and more family want to get a single family home for 2 reasons. One is more for privacy. You don't have to don't want to have a share wall, and also you have that extra outdoor space. Everybody wants to have, for one, overall, like single family homes tend to be bigger, so people want more bedroom, more space for working from home situation, or during when the kids are still not open for the online classes. So there's like even stronger demand for single family home, and people are willing to pay extra to have that extra space and also the extra outdoor space, like a backyard. Because if you recall, like during the lockdown time, even in Irvine, most community has a lot of nice HOA amenities, the park, the pool, the hiking trail, and all that playground. During lockdown time, most of the stuff kind of being closed out, like being yellow taped. So people have been through that. Now they have different needs or expectation for indoor space and also outdoor space. But anyway, that's a long supplementary comment in terms of single family home. So I definitely see that there's an even stronger demand of a single family home, at least in the Irvine market. And also people are willing to pay more for that exclusivity and also the privacy and extra space. Okay, so while we're at it, so so far single family home price grew by 20%, and condo, the attached home grew by 14%. I know that on the national level, we're talking about for next year's home price. Nationally, we're looking at 5%. And I think one thing I forgot to mention, I want to supplement here. So for the 2020, this year to date so far, nationally, we saw a home appreciation of 17.7, which is 18%. I just want to give you a feeling that in Irvine, our price appreciation is outpaced a national average. Just take this number, like single family home, we're at 22% versus nationally is 18%. So if the next year national appreciation expect to be 5%, I would think that in Irvine, home price will probably fair to say around 7 or even 8%. I want to correct the projected Irvine home price projection. So I just want to give you a feel if for the national projection home price appreciation is 5%. And we look at this year, the national home price this year so far is around 18%. And we know that Irvine's appreciation outpaced U.S. national. Let's just take this year-to-date, October single-family home number is 22. If we do a quick math, we're looking at if the national next year is around 5%, then the Irvine will be somewhere between 6 and 7. So what does all that mean to you if you are a buyer? Well, with the mortgage rate projected to rise and home price going to continue to grow, if you decided to sit on the sideline, that means it's going to cost you more down the road. So I understand, I totally understand. I work with a lot of buyers that after all this month and year, it's a tough situation. It's hard to be a buyer in today's seller's market. I want to encourage you, keep your eye on the end game. If you at this life stage, you know you're ready to buy, you need to buy. The longer you wait, it's gonna cost you more. So you're thinking about buying in Irvine, let's strategize. In today's market, we can't just passively waiting for the new listing to come up. Of course, we're gonna closely watching those coming soon and get in there the first time it's open for showing. There are more things we need to do in today's market to increase your chance to find your home. If you're interested to find out, I would love to sit down with you, understand your situation, and we customize a game plan to help today's buyer to find their home effectively. If you are thinking about selling, I'm sure all homeowners are getting tired of hearing all their realtor telling you, oh, it's a great time to sell, let me help you sell. Every family situation is different. I know the number one seller's concern is that if I sell the home, where am I gonna end up at? Where I'm moving to, what can I buy? So again, every family situation is different. There's no one size fits all. But if you are willing to have a strategy session, I would love to sit down with you, learn about your situation, and lay out all your options for you to help you capitalize. Right now, there's still like super low inventory, price still increasing. And meanwhile, I totally understand. I respect that. We need to balance on the other side of the transaction. I know you know that your home will sell, but how do we help you beyond the closing of this transaction? If you have any question about today's number sharing or you want to get more detail, I have a full report. Happy to share with you. If you have a specific community you're interested in, let us know. Apart from this Irvine City report, we have community specific monthly report to share with you as well. Again, I'm Regina Chen. I'm the real estate agent right here in Irvine, California. I will see you in the next video. Catch you later.